When you walk down a Vancouver street and see mixed-race couples holding hands, it appears we're fairly colorblind and successful at celebrating diversity. But behind closed doors, there is more to the cross-cultural relationship story, believe me. Dr. Faizal Sahukhan teaches a 6-week course on East-West romance at Langara College. He is a counselor and sex therapist, and it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Faizal Sahukhan to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
What interested you in East-West romance, in studying East-West love?
I think, Fanny, a few years ago, I read a study, and statistics showed that out of all the singles dating in Canada, 21% belong to a cross-cultural relationship. But the thing is, when it comes to marriage, only 3% of all marriages are cross-cultural. So I started studying this area. I found that very, very, very perplexing. And I started studying this area and interviewing people. And from that manifested itself into a seminar that I taught and then teaching this course at Langara College.
When you were making your lesson plan,
yes.
How did you structure it? First course, first day. What do you talk about?
I think I talked about an overview of cross-cultural relationships. But the thing is, I went right to the main difficulty as to why cross-cultural relationships don't work. And this is an expression I coined as romantic culture clash. Now, the romantic culture clash has two parts. The first part applies to the ethnic people, immigrants from abroad. And this is actually an intergenerational conflict between a traditional upbringing and a more liberal Western lifestyle. So these are the individuals who have migrated here, and at home they live a certain traditional lifestyles that their parents promote. But when they're outside amongst friends, they're more subjected to Western open liberal lifestyles, and the conflict within them is quite large.
Of course, and all the stereotypes around.
Yes, of course.
Them too. I'm thinking a South Asian male from a close-knit Muslim family.
Yes.
Immigrates to Vancouver.
Yes.
Meets a white woman who's
yes.
been raised in Hope, BC.
Yes.
They fall in love because, as you know, it's easy to fall in love.
Sure.
With somebody who doesn't come necessarily from your town.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that can happen, and that happens every day with lots of people. But the thing is, and for example, in the past I've had this client, who a Caucasian female, who said something like this to me. Said, "I'm so and so years old. I'm dating a Persian man. We're madly in love. He's met all my family. He refuses to introduce me to his family. Is he gay or is he married?" Now the thing is, this is the Western individualistic mentality that we have here, where we think that if everything is going great, why won't he introduce me to his family? He must be either married, he has a wife, or he's gay. But it's not none of these. What it comes down to is romantic culture clash. He knows that if he introduces her right now to his family, she will not be accepted in most cases. And therefore he fears that. So he's in this conflict between love and between culture. Which one does he take? And in most cases, he resorts back to culture.
So what can she do to be accepted in his family?
There's many things. Number one, she needs to educate herself about his culture, about his language, about his traditions, and perhaps about his religion as well. And she has to not to conform herself to these, but respect them, appreciate them, and perhaps, for example, to meet the parents. A good way, I tell my clients, is to meet them as friends. That's less threatening.
So you come in not as the girlfriend, but as somebody who is a friend.
A friend. And that way, the parents know her, get to know her better. The stereotypes, negative stereotypes of, say, for example, Caucasian people subsides. They get to like her, and then perhaps he, the boy, or his aunt, or another person, his sister, may introduce this idea that, oh, she fits in quite well in our family. And that embeds the seed of a potential mate.
Whereas in a Caucasian family, often the child rebels and says, I love him.
Yes.
I don't care what you think.
Yes. Well, the thing is, it comes down to the individualistic culture and the collectivistic culture. In the West here, in the individualistic culture, we have the I mentality, that we have the I worldview. It's I before the family. The family comes secondary. It's like this. If you ask a person, let's say a young boy, what his career goals are, what he'd like to be in the future, he says, I would like to be a doctor. Whereas you ask the same age boy in a collectivistic culture, which considers more of a we mentality, says, well, my parents want me to be a doctor. It's the same thing about marriage, too. We in the West, when we want to marry someone, we fall in love with that person, and then we propose, and then we go take this news to our family and say, well, we're getting married. Whereas in a collectivistic society, marriage is between two families who then at each step of the way create these marriage rituals and celebrations and things.
Are the barriers around the color of skin? Are they around religion, cultural differences, all of the above, or does it matter?
All of the above. All of the above. Now, these are generalizations, of course. You have unique distinctions between each case. But the thing is, if you look at culture, culture is for an ethnic person, let's say a first, second, third generation immigrant who follows the Eastern worldview, it's part of their identity. It's who they are. And that's promoted from the time the person is born to the time the person grows up, by the family, by the culture. And the thing is, by going against the culture, that person, as we have seen in the news lately, the person is ostracized from his or her family, from culture, and from the church.
Or killed.
Or killed in some cases.
An honor killing, for instance.
Yes, of course.
Yes. The late Princess Diana, her great love before Dodi Fayed was Dr. Hasnat Khan, I believe was his name. And he was from a close-knit Muslim family, and his family did not accept the princess and certainly did not want him to marry the princess and wanted him to marry or to take a Muslim bride, period.
Yes, yes.
And it certainly didn't like the celebrity surrounding Princess Diana.
I think that back in the East, they have a very biased and sometimes a little bit prejudiced views of the Western society. They look at the people over here as being very inconsiderate when it comes to mating or dating. They think that this is something that's part of their lifestyle, and dating is synonymous with sex, which is a taboo in many Eastern societies. So the thing is...
Sex before marriage.
Sex before marriage, premarital sex. Yes.
And in a white culture, not necessarily, again we're generalizing, but generally they say, you're marrying somebody and you haven't had sex with them, I think maybe you better test the waters.
Well, see, that actually happens today even. For example, in some Middle Eastern societies, when the bride, the mother of the groom is very adamant that the bride is still a virgin. And there's a ritual where the morning after the first night, the mother comes in to bathe the bride as a way of welcoming her into the family. Now, the thing is, in the past, the mothers used to look at the sheet to see if there's any blood on there, to see if she was a virgin. Of course, we now know that, through gymnastics or horseback riding, women break their hymen. But the thing is that ritual persists. And this is one of the reasons I've had clients who are not virgins, but are married ethnic men who know about this ritual. And what they do, many of them, they've gotten these Hollywood type of fake blood capsules, so that during first intercourse, they would then break this secretly, unknown to their male husband, that they would break this